And today we're going to trim our sails with comments. Definitely. People got too animated. Who was the next person in line to pray?
Our Father, which art in heaven, we thank you so much for this opportunity to come in this fashion, to sit at your feet and to listen to the standards and the requirements that you expect of us at this time. Give us receptive hearts and minds, be with the speaker also, and help us to realize that truly the time is short and we need to be the people that you want us to be. Please give us the inner strength, the power through your Holy Spirit to do these things for Christ's sake. Amen.
All right, before we start, I want to issue a word of apology for the last time we met. It became a little too animated and just a lot of comments. So we're hoping that, not hoping, we're going to do it different today. We still are going to go into subject, and I'm going to read this statement to start. It's from Evangelism. It's also in Testimonies to Ministers, page 300. It says, "Let me tell you that the Lord will work in this last work in a manner very much out of the common order of things, and in a way that would be contrary to any human planning. There will be those among us who will always want to control the work of God, to dictate even what movements shall be made when the work goes forward under the direction of the angel who joins the third angel in the message to be given to the world. God will use ways and means by which it will be seen that he is taking the reins in his own hands. The workers will be surprised by the simple means that he will use to bring about and perfect his work of righteousness." All right, so let's go straight into this subject. That was just a thought. I'm reading from the Health Reformer, or HR, May 1st, 1872, paragraphs 3 over to 4. And this is what Sister White had to say. "We advocate that the limbs of women should not be exposed, but sensibly, neatly, and comfortably clad. Is this immodest? Question. Many say they have no objections to the length of the dress, but they could never put on the pants." So here Sister White start to talk about, she said, but some say they could never put on the pants. She said, "Do they not blush to witness the exposure of the almost naked limbs? But the limbs thoroughly dressed with warm pants shock their modesty." You see that statement? Let me read it again. And let's go. She said, "They do not blush to witness the exposure of the almost naked limbs, but the limbs of thoroughly dressed with warm pants shock their modesty. Such opposition to the pants, which are positively modest and which protect the limbs from exposure and chilliness, should be supported by sensible reason. Many say, oh, the pants look so singular. Everybody stares, and women nudge one another, poke, and look so comical, and some laugh outright. Weighty reasons, these, Sister White asks, also if they stare at you, poke each other, looking at a woman walking in her pants. And she said, are those weighty reasoning, if they were behaving like that to see in her pants? It is not among the possibilities to get up anything so deforming and uncomfortable as the hump fashion places on the backs of women. She started to compare now some of the dresses that women wear, and she's saying they're uncomfortable and deforming. This and the looped, puffed, and ruffled over skirts are devoid of taste and beauty. So she's comparing a lot of the dresses that the women wear and the skirts to pants. But these things are tolerated because they are fashionable. How could these slaves of such hideous fashions reasonably laugh at any manner of dress they should behold? Our work shall be, by the grace of God, to preserve simplicity of dress and stand with moral independence in defiance of fashions that have no regard for natural beauty or physical law. You know, but I saw a picture with Sister White having on her pants, but it was blurry and I didn't want to bring it. I wanted to find some clearer ones, so I didn't bring that one. But in those days, it was very early days, and Sister White said she really didn't care what people thought. She continues in two selected message. She said, "There is but one woman in 1,000 who clothes her limbs as she should. Whatever may be the length of the dress, females should close their limbs as thoroughly as the males. This may be done by wearing lined pants, gathered into a band and fastened about the ankle, are made full and tapering at the bottom, and these should come down long enough to meet the shoe. The limbs and the ankles thus clothed are protected against a current of air. If the limbs and feet are kept comfortable with warm clothing, the circulation will be equalized and the blood will remain healthy, pure, because it is not chilled or hindered in its natural passage through the system." And these are just some older pictures from those days, what they would look like, how they're dressed. These are from the 1800s. She continues by saying, HR Health Review, "The limbs should be clothed with pants, always cut after an approved pattern, made tapering to meet the instep of the shoe. Custom and fashion will have their false standard of modesty and will feign to blush and appear horrified to see woman's limbs sensibly or helpfully dressed." She said some people have a problem with it. "We wish to have sensible reason, if it can be given, for this blind opposition to the reformed dress, sneers, ridicule, and contempt, with some may be such convincing arguments," because that's the argument they come with, sneer, contempt, ridicule, argument, "that after they have adopted the modest and healthful short dress, when they meet opposition in this form, because they have on the short dress, they meet the opposition seeing a woman in a pants, will retire from the ranks of dress reform. They go away and no more advocate it or have the courage to wear the reformed dress. Sneer should be taken by sensible health reformers who move from principle for what they are worth. Ridicule and contempt cannot make one hair white or black. We want reason and intellect to take the field and will be subjected to the control of enlightened conscience. We design to be true to God and to the right. If there are sensible and strong reasons which can be produced against the dress reform, we have yet to meet them." So Sister White says she has not met an intelligent argument. And when she was talking about dress reform, she's talking about the pants. "We are open to conviction until we see better arguments that, oh, it looks so to see women in pants, like exclamation mark, like, whoa. She said, what will people say? Exclamation mark. I would die before I wear them, one might say. We shall continue to wear the dress, the reform dress. So she's saying all the arguments that people can come up with against it, there's no sensible argument. And she said, and this is how pretty much the pants started to look in those days as they were coming out. And things have evolved a lot. And Sister White said some of the argument that was being brought against women, and those were early days, she said it was just, the argument was just nonsensical. She goes on in two selected messages. In this style of dress, God's order, no, let me go, she's quoting now she's going to go in and deal with Deuteronomy chapter 22. A woman should not wear that which pertained to a man. In this style of dress, God's order has been reversed, and a special direction disregarded. Deuteronomy 22, verse 5. She goes in, the woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment, for all that do so are abomination unto the Lord thy God. She continues, this style of dress God would not have his people adopt. It is not modest apparel, and is not at all fitting for modesty. Humble females who profess to be Christ's followers, God's prohibitions are lightly regarded by all who advocate the doing away of the distinction of dress between males and females. So you see the point? There has to be a distinction between what the man wear and what the female wear. But from Sister White coming up, it was never an argument about the pants. But she always maintained, same thing Brother Otif too, there has to be a distinction between the two. The extreme positions taken by some dress reformers upon the subject cripple their influence. God designed that there should be plain distinction between male and female dress. And that's what Deuteronomy meant. Because when Deuteronomy was written, some people try to say if a woman wears a pants, she's violating Deuteronomy chapter 22. But the women and the men wear skirts then. She continues, we do not adopt this style of dress to be odd, that we may attract notice. She said, we do not wear, she's going to go in and talk. We do not differ from the common style of fashionable dress for any such object. We choose to agree with others in theory and in practice. So she's saying, so let's say Christ did not come in the next 500-600 years, and we should go in the future. We'd see people walking around in space suits. The dress would change. And if they saw us in this clothes, they would look at us and these people came from the past. Because time changes circumstances. We more than likely would see them in space suit and different kind of stuff. So this, it's always about the principle. So we're going, we believe it wrong to differ. She said, we believe it wrong to differ from others unless it be necessary to differ in order to be right. In bearing the cross of adopting the reform dress, we are led by a sense of duty. And although it may appear objectable to those who are governed by fashion, we claim that it is the most convenient, the most truly modest, and the most helpful style of dress worn by woman. So what Sister White was essentially saying in here, if the fashion changes, she said we change with the fashion, not to stand out as being odd, but she says once it's not compromising any principle, then we change with the time. So once pants came in and started to be worn, you had people who were saying it's something that should not be done, but Sister White said it was okay. What God was talking about in Deuteronomy, he was dealing with, not that the woman cannot wear the pants, but there has to be a distinction. Now, we're going to go back to this statement. And this is one of the statements. Most Davidians, when they talk about pants, especially men, when they're under different groups and they argue, they don't go to this particular statement from Answer Book 5 because they think that this statement, they go to the 1949 statement. They said the 1949 statement is an updated statement. And the 1944 statement is like Brother Hotif changed his mind in 1949. But in 1944, it was given credence for women to wear pants. But the further light, so they say you have to go with the light in 1949 and not the 1944 light. You get the concept? And the question was, Brother Trevor, I think, touched this a bit today. He says, and one of the things too, he mentioned, if Brother Hotif was even talking about in this statement that women should not wear pants, he said, I was talking to him yesterday, there are two, and I'm just paraphrasing, there are two types of way inspiration work. He said you have eternal truth, it's salvation, the Trinity, antitypical Elijah, antitypical David, Carmel, Bashan, Gilead. These are eternal truth. Now you have in the rod where Brother Hotif was telling you to send your tithe at an address in California. That's not eternal truth. It was truth for the time, but it's not the truth anymore. So if you should look in the old books and you see the address in one of the codes to send your address to P.O. Box such and such, you would not be doing the right thing. So what he was saying is that the dress and some of the ordinances, like hat wearing, Paul says in 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 2, that the hat wearing for the woman was an ordinance. It wasn't an eternal thing. It wasn't something that God was going to do forever. So what Bircher was saying is that these things people don't realize, they change over time. And let me give you a prime example. With this. This shows the change in dress in the different styles. So if anyone from Thyatira should put this on and walk to church on Sabbath, you know what they think of him? Something is wrong with him. And if someone from the Laodicean church would go back in Ephesus in the clothes now, they would see this person is crazy or something is wrong with them.
Well, that's interesting. Now, years ago in New York, matter of fact, I used to go to church in Ephesus.
Okay.
All right, and this guy had on the robe.
You all can't laugh, you know.
Yeah,
We're
right.
laughing.
That's
You're
right.
From laughing.
That's right. And he was.
No.
Some of them still wear the robes and so forth.
Yes.
You know, when they go up there.
Yes.
And that was amazing. You know, that was years ago though.
But you know, some Adventists pastors generally wear suits. They generally wear suits. Oh, they wear gowns? They wear robes. Yeah? That is crazy. So you see, let me go back here. So the fashion changes with time. Let me continue with this. So what the point I'm bringing out, what I was bringing out, while we are discussing this, and Brother Trevor said, yeah, we were talking about it. This, while he could use this as a point, he said the more important point is the living spirit of prophecy, inspiration at work. So now, while you can use these statements to show someone who don't understand as a foundation, changes will always come. Because as we get closer to the kingdom, more things are going to be required of us to change. And so statements can be in the rod and people didn't see them properly. But as the time comes for the need, and one of the things that I believe that's happening, the Lord is going to bring in a lot of people soon. That's what he's going to do, he's preparing us. So this pretty much is a different style. This is in the 40s now. By the time Brother Houghton wrote this statement in 44, this was a style of dress. This is the 40s. These are just commercials in the paper that advertisers are advertising the price and what you can purchase. You didn't have Amazon and all these things, $2.99. Yes, in those days. So you could buy your suit and these were ads, how they dressed. Now, I didn't have time to look through the archive and see all their pictures, but this is just four. We're going to try to get as much more of the old pictures them. They usually wear their pants. This is at Mount Carmel under their clothes. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. And as we get them, we're just going to find them, just stick them up so people can see what happened in Mount Carmel days. I didn't want to find the one them with Florence Houghton after he died. And the people then, because they're going to say she rebelled and brought the change. So we have to find the ones before he died so people can see. And Mount Carmel had at least 100 people living at Mount Carmel. So once you came out with your pants, you're in the public. Mm-hmm. But, you know, people are going to say they were cleaning up the snow because they were cleaning up at the time. So some might say they did have on work pants. But it's just to bring stuff to show. Because look, one of the questions that came in, if you look at the answer that Brother Trevor gave, he said it was always permissible to wear pants. He said the confusion came in with 2 TG38. He said that's where, and it just, I mean, if you join a pack, you look around and you see everybody dress a certain way. You just dress the same way too. You just fit in. And this is the 40s. Yeah, this is all from the 40s. And they made the clothes distinguish so you could see and know the difference from the men. You understand? And so this is one of the things that the sister asked, that it wasn't forbidden from even Mount Carmel days. It was okay. But as he said, once 2 TG38 came out, and some dividends will say to you, you cannot go to this statement where Brother Houghton is given credence, it seems, for women to wear pants. You have to stick with the 1949 statement because that's the last thing he said on it. So you will hear that argument from some of them. And I'm just going to read this statement, what he says here. And as the statement comes, is it all right to wear slacks while engaging in defense work? And I see brother picked up on this and went beyond the defense work point. He says, if wearing slacks should be restricted to men, because men today universally wear trousers, then anciently skirts should have been denied women because that garment was then the common grab for men. And that's common sense. So he was just saying, and this would be men, and sometimes interestingly, it's the men that came and took over the conversation from the women. Even though when you hear Davidians arguing, the sisters are not arguing about these things, it's the men arguing and say, which is the 1949, the sisters will sit back and see the men fighting and then say, okay, what do we do now? So this pretty much, Brother Houteff was addressing the men. But it says, but as both men and women then wore skirts, the question should not be as to whether skirts or slacks should be always, that's one, or occasionally worn by women, but as to whether the dress of the women should be precisely like that, the dress of the men. And so we discussed that before. They can't be the same. But sometimes some women, men do it now too, men wear female pants. Yes, and some women wear male pants. Yes, you understand? So he addressed that. And so once you saw these women in the 40s, by the 40s, things had started to change. You could know that this definitely is a female pants. You could see definitely. And this is casual wear. This casual might be going for a walk by the creek or somewhere, the family, they have casual wear. This is a business wear. Okay? Now he goes on to say, and this is the part he goes on to say, no, if slacks have the distinctive appearance of a garment pertaining to women, or if he's saying if pants have the distinctive appearance of a garment pertaining to a woman, then they cannot be classed as a man's apparel. And so we go back to this. We're going to touch this a bit. This is in the 40s. When now they started more and more miniskirts start to come in. So I think by the 70s, 80s, miniskirts were just over. He says, there's another phase though. So he had dealt with one phase of the argument, okay? And he goes into another phase of the conversation. So he said, there is another phase of the question to be considered. If the garment is modest, not extravagant, made to meet the need of the wearer, not the caprice of the world's ever-changing styles, then we see no evil in wearing, what's it? Pants. Yes. He says, we think that the modest slacks or pants are much better than the short, immodest dresses. We're clear, right? And as I said, some Davidians will say, listen, Brother Houteff changed his mind in 1949. We're going to go to that. No, sometimes they do, Davidians reason that way, So this is, he was saying, we think that the modest slacks are much better than the short, immodest dresses. And if you look at a dress like this, let me go for my pointer. If you see a dress like this, once she sits, you know what happened to the skirt? Yes. So he said, if she has a choice to wear this or this, it's better because she can sit. And sometimes you see people, I see the women sit and then have to turn sideways. They can't move. And sometimes you know what happened to them? I've seen this when they try to change a leg. You see. Because they can't keep the leg for too long. It cramps after a while. And when they open to change over, well, no, when you see they're going to change over, you better look down. Because they can't change over. You understand? So here Brother Houteff is saying, if she's going to do this all the time, even on the pulpit I see them, they have to twist and turn sideways. Yeah, the ones who care. That's true. Because some just don't care. Yes.
If you think that's funny, this it's all the way up here, and they're gonna be like
The
this.
mic. Show the mic, brother,
Unbelievable,
yes.
man.
No, they didn't hear Brother Gene because he didn't have the mic for those.
Now they got these things way up here, right?
Mike,
Oh, they got it right up here. Now they're gonna be doing like this,
pulling
trying to
down the
bring,
skirt.
and it can't go anywhere.
No, it can't. It can't. It can't go anywhere. It really can't. Now, he continues with this point. He said, but even slacks, publicly worn, do not afford a woman the modest appearance of a Christian apparel, except, so now if she wants to maintain a modest Christian apparel, she has to do this. He said, except it be on a certain occasion. What's the occasion? She has to decide. It's between she and God. She might say, all right, listen, I'm going down by the creek, I'm going to go up the mountain. It's going to be immodest to wear a skirt. It's just not practical. Or I'm going to move some furniture, I'm going to do this. She knows as an individual with God, have to know when she's going to wear this, what occasion she's wearing it on. She's going to determine that. And so we don't see her on the road and said, what, Sister so-and-so in pants? We can't do that. To Walmart, we don't judge. She's going to determine that. That's between her and God. And the content says, or at certain work, when, or, so there's 3 clauses. She has to determine the occasion. If she does certain work, when, or, where the dress is an hindrance. The slack must not replace the neat, modest dress that becomes a Christian woman. Even if she's going to wear it, she cannot forget that she's a Christian woman. It has to be. And so this is what now is happening. She has to stay in the middle of the road. Because some people, some Christian women too, wear stuff to show up their stuff. You understand? And they walk too, to show their stuff. And sometimes, you know what I see somebody did? This is real. They walk, so 2 persons are talking. Men do this sometimes, you know. So they're looking that way, and the woman is coming and they're staring, but they're talking to someone. And the woman walk past and they turn around. They turn around and they're looking. They follow with their eyes. But the people dress to attract attention. Even married women do it too, you know. So they said, if he goes on, and see, if the person said this, if though the wearing of slack is required of one who works in a plant, then we see nothing wrong in wearing them during work hours. So they have another kind of dress too. Yes, Mike.
There's a very important thought that you gave, brother Guy. In when women wear pants, sometimes they are not what you call it? No, they are not thinking right. Like for example, we women, we work like this, right? So when women wearing pants, they think that they do the same, work like this. You see, so people they need to be what you call it, conscious with the way they do it too, because it says here, not if you are wearing slacks, you cannot do the same as man does. You bend, right? You bend the way you bend.
Saying when the woman, all right, depends. Sometimes female clothing, depending on how they fit. If they bend, you might see the line of their underwear. Some women, depends on the pants they wear. So he's saying depends on the pants they have on. Sometimes women too have to be conscious how they position themselves around the men. Because some people will have certain weakness if they see the woman position herself a certain way. Yeah, but no, I understand. Yes. No, but what I'm gonna say too, I know for the Caribbean, not only Caribbean, if you go further, sometimes men just take off their shirt. Men do it all the time. But some women are affected by it. But the men are not conscious. You know, they're really not conscious what they're doing, and they're talking. And some women is just like, I grew up with a lot of brothers, you just have off the shirt off. You know, but so what he's saying is that regardless of what we can and cannot wear, we always still have to be conscious.
Be modest.
Yeah, always. But you have to be modest. And if you can't, and let me say this too, if you can't be around someone because of the way they position, something might be in your mind, then if you see, go work somewhere else. Yes, you might need help too. Yes.
So, you know what Brother Tira was saying is so important. And the point he's making
Blink, just press. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we just,
Is it on now?
yes.
Okay. The point he's making, he was giving the example of slacks and the different positions, but it doesn't matter what you have on as a woman. We ought to be conscious of how our body language. No, I'm not saying wear anything, but there are ways to bend, there are ways in which we should lean over, even when we are having general conversation. For example, you may see a woman walk into a room and she decides to sit on a table to talk to other people,
Mm-hmm.
or lean over in a way where her body line now is more obvious than if she was standing upright in the same modest clothes. So body language is important no matter what we wear as Christian women.
Okay, I understand that. And one of the things that happened too, as far as the wearing of clothes is concerned, you do have men too that wear some tight pants, you know, and they do their body, they're not the pants is real tight, and you can see that the pants.
Oh, sorry.
So one of the things that inspiration is bringing out is modesty, regardless of what you have on. You have to be modest, because as you said, sometimes females might be heavy busted and they wear some tight stuff, real tight. You know, I've been to Adventist potluck or food, and I see sister take off her jacket, and it's like, but I couldn't say, sis, you need to put on back your jacket, because I mean, why are you looking? So I didn't really say anything. I mean, other people are there, nobody say anything. I mean, I wasn't really looking still. I know, because it's one of the, what they call the strap? Spaghetti strap? Spaghetti strap, yes. Spaghetti strap, and she took it off. So what inspiration is bringing out, whatever people wear, they have to be modest.
Things that I do myself, if I'm a little unsure of how I look from behind, on certain things,
Mhm.
I put a long vest on,
Okay.
like a long vest or maybe a longer blazer or something,
Mhm.
just in case, I just find it better to be safe and not just kind of walk that thin line,
Yeah.
So especially if we're bending down and things of that sort, a lot of stores have they're very encouraging on these terrible tops, but they're very short. They encourage belly showers,
Or sometimes I see people are
Those
lifting up
short
stuff,
ones,
you
and you
see.
lift up your arm and everything is seen.
Yes.
So I like the longer tops that you can really tuck into your pants or skirt or whatever. It
Mhm.
gives a lot of give. If you do bend down, there's nothing showing. So I think those little things really make a big difference.
And sometimes I think too, sometimes people's body change over time and they don't realize, and they're wearing stuff and they might not realize that this stuff is not what it used to be before. And they wear them and they do stuff, and yes. All right, so this is a 1949 statement. Maureen, oh, sorry, go ahead, Sister Maureen.
You had brought, I'm sorry, you had brought up a point about, I see the attire for men
Sometimes, yes.
so tight.
Yes, it's a fashion trend now too.
I'm telling you, I see, I guess it was Oakwood College. They had something there and somebody sent it to me. And I saw these young men. Whew, I said, did they pour themselves into the slacks, or, it was so tight, so close to the body, But I remember when I was working, so I don't know what the guys are saying about that, if there's any discussion about that, the new trend,
I think it's sometimes
But-
offensive to, I mean, personally, if you go to a man, sometimes it's delicate to say to him, your pants is too tight. Because some of them get so rude to say, oh, the pants is tight. I'm just, even people too, yeah, you just see the pants are tight, you know what I mean?
I want to make one more point. I remember when I worked for Child Protective Services, and sometimes we had to go and take children out of unsafe places. And sometimes I remember in Connecticut, we have to climb up the outside ladder to go up and rescue children. And so I could not climb up those ladder
With your skirt.
No, because I tried it one time and people were under there watching me, and I'm saying, "Oh my gosh," you know. Woof, 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 you know.
But you know, one of the things this
So it was practical to wear it. So when we went back to the office and we talked about our experience, and so when we debriefed, after the end of the day, we debriefed, you know, with our supervisor and stuff like that. And then they said, yes, we have to change the dress standard, you know. So we started wearing pants. We started they advertise different things. You can wear pantsuit, you can wear the slack with a blouse with a jacket and stuff like that. I chose the pantsuits because it covered me.
okay,
You
that's
know,
good.
yeah, the jackets covered me well down here. So, and yeah, I mean, I remember when I lived in Mount Vernon, Claudette came and, you know, she was in my closet and she says, "Well, you have lots of pantsuits," you know, and I said, "Yes, it was for my job."
Yeah, you shouldn't say Claude, you say somebody came.
Well, I did.
Because
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, it was there.
Yeah,
So, well, you
because,
know,
because if you said somebody said, I could
Yeah.
say, well,
Yeah.
probably the police officer passed through.
No.
Yes.
No, she saw it, and I guess she wondered why you had some, but it was for work. And when you go to court and stuff like that, that's how I tired myself.
But I think one of the things that's coming out now with these things, because they've always been, and this is one of the things that Brother Trevor brought out, that it is this statement. And one of the things that I'm learning from the things that are coming out, you have like a herd culture where you go somewhere and you look around and see everybody doing the thing and you just start to follow unconsciously. You don't know why. You know, one of the brothers was saying to me, he said, you know, I never knew Answer Book 5 statement existed. He said, I didn't know, nothing like that. So he said, as since we start to have agitation on these subjects, that he's realizing all the stuff that the Lord is bringing out to our attention. Because like this statement, and Brother Trevor brought out the point that this is a statement that caused a problem with Davidians. Mm-hmm,
When you mentioned the herd culture,
mm-hmm.
it's not just a herd culture too. What it also is it's the people who have been in it for a while who tell you what these things mean.
Yes.
You see,
Yes.
you read it. But once you have been called out, or, you know, somebody saddles up and says, you know, you really shouldn't be having on such and such a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, immediately, and if you're a newbie or, you know, whatever, then you just fall in line. You take what
That's
they
true.
say
That's true.
as what it really is.
That's
see?
true.
But it's not.
I remember there was a brother in Jamaica, he would be on the sisters too. It's just like, just carry yourself, just put on a crocus, a rice bag and just stick a big thing on your head. It's like people were not encouraged to carry themselves properly. It's like you're too worldly to carry yourself neat and becoming of what a Christian woman should be like. And one of the things that happened, you can get Sister Denise and Mike, anciently, when the men saw the women in the Bible, they were just so like when Jacob saw Rachel, Rebecca and all these women, Sarah, you're talking about royalty. When you looked at Sarah, whatever she was wearing, how she conducted, how she looked, it's just like they saw someone that was beautiful and well put together. And it's like now we had a lot of fanatical ideas come in to the point that it's like people are discouraged from looking properly, from driving something nice, but taking care of themselves. It's like, how could you be doing these things? You were saying, sis?
No,
Mhm.
I was saying that a lot of time people who have been in the message along, they seem to feel like they are the criteria. So they don't actually talk to people about what the message teaches. Like, say, for instance, people being vegan. You know, that was really a big thing. And we had to be told that the Lord has not
Impose that as yet.
mandated that.
Yes.
And you had a lot of people that may have been actually teaching that because they were doing it and they felt like that was the best thing to do, since at some point we're going to go back that way. So that's what they were teaching the people.
But sometimes after a while too, they start to find the people didn't dress properly. Some of the folks, they look emaciated. Some folks look unkept. And so when people come in, it's like they just they don't realize that they're retrograding from where they came in. It's like you're looking, if you come in and said, boy, these people.
Yeah, it didn't do you any good. Now, I just wanted to share this because this is a real experience. When the group was relatively new, back in the 80s, a brother moved to the DC area from New York. So he had been in the group in New York that was under, I want to say Brother Wycliffe, I'm not sure, one of the two Browns. But anyway, so he had moved to the area and he started coming to our meetings. So one Sabbath after the study was over and we were standing around talking and outside, and he came up to me, seriously, came up to me, he said, Sister Danita, he said, I noticed something about the sisters here. So I'm like, really? Okay, what was that? He said, you all do something with your hair. He said to us, with our hair, right? So I'm like, okay. He said, the sisters up in New York? Now, whoever's on from New York, this is not you personally, because you may not have been there. But he was just saying the sisters up in New York had this idea that they could not do anything nice with their hair.
Somebody dropped the rule, the man-made rule.
So, yes. So it was like, he just found it very not nice looking, but he was complimenting the people in our group because he's like, you all look like you take care of yourselves. And that's what he said. And he was amazed. He thought everybody looked like they did in New York. Now, I don't know what you all look like in New York, but
But I
he
could
was just
understand what's happening.
making that point.
But it's usually the men, the leaders, that expose some kind of idea, what they think. And one of the points that brother did brought out, he says this statement, what do people do when they're reasoning? The men, they take off this word work and they just deal with the word pants. He said that's where the problem started. And he said, Brother Hout, if God made him put it right there, was addressing it. They are not to be worn in public places or on the street. And obviously, if you're working in a pants, why would you go outside in this thing? So they take off the work and they said, no, pants should not wear at all in the public. And this is why now we have to keep digging up the old pictures them and show what was going on at Mount Carmel. But only in such occupations as would render dresses immodest are dangerous. Even then, they are to be of a style designed strictly for women, not for men. Wear culottes. And so this is a question that came in that brother answered it. And I just copied it from today before I came. Brother Trevor answered some question. We can't just pretend that we always were allowed to wear pants. And he said, because a misunderstanding of 2TG 38, quote unquote, work pants. I just copied and pasted. He said, that's where the problem came from. He said, the next question was, why did the Bayesian woman not wear pants until recent, even ladies at Bayesian? In the permissible situation where they could have worn pants but didn't, there was, and explained above, a strongly cultural taboo among Davidians on pants wearing that in common practice broadened into an almost total proscription of pants wearing under any circumstances. You see, it's the same earth culture. It just spread. It just spread and spread and spread. He said, next question, we can't pretend that we have all misunderstood Brother Houtif. And a lot of people did. That is the thing. And what the Lord is doing, there's some profound points that are being made, People don't know. Brother Bingham had a more thorough understanding of the rod than Brother Houtif, We have a better understanding of the book of Daniel than Daniel. That's just the fact. And so a lot of things that Brother Houtif wrote about, Bayesian and a lot of end time prophecy, even that's going to occur before Ezekiel 9. Brother Houtif wrote these things and he said, if it's possible, the Lord is going to make us know even the day and the hour. A lot of things we're understanding more as we get closer and closer to the end that the people that lived at Mount Carmel did not know. And didn't need to know. They really didn't need to know. And so it says we can't all pretend that we have misunderstood Brother Houtif writings. I'm telling you, a lot of people did. Present truth advances as is necessary for each generation, even in things like dress and health matters. It has ever been like this, and it has always caused a problem for some who, while they may have a great intellectual understanding of the rod, do not have a deep spiritual connection to the Lord. It says, did ladies at Carmel and Bashan wear pants all the time? They did on certain occasions. And this is why, I didn't have time to go through all the archive old Mount Carmel pictures to start bringing these points out to show. He said, we need a clear directive, on how to teach the acceptable wearing of pants. It says the Davidian Seventh-day Adventist Association has updated the dress standard so as to stay in the middle of the road. And all that's going on is bringing out the points from the Golden Bowl. Because you know what? Sister White was so advanced, and you can see that it's the same spirit. The same spirit that was in Sister White was in Brother Houteff and is at work in the association today. Because it's the only association that is teaching these things. So can you imagine how far ahead of the time Sister White was? And so these are so if you're going for an evening wear, you're going out with your family or the other half, this is not something extravagant or something. And look what's interesting. I'm going to bring this up back. In the 1940s, coming out of the 30s to the 40s, and this would be modest today. If you took these women and brought them today, they're just modest. They don't have on something that look like. And these things the Lord is bringing out because the Lord is telling us people are going to accept the message and they're going to come on the hill just like this. And all we do is present them the truth. And if they decide to wear their pants on occasion or their skirt, they're not sinning. Let every man be fully persuaded in their own mind. So we go back to this. And this is why one of the things that Brother Trevor is bringing out, and this is now you start to see when the Lord is saying a lot of young people are going to come finish the work, because these things are going to be a stumbling block, especially for some of the older ones that were in the message from the early days. So, and if too, we should go somewhere, and these are sometimes cultural garb that people wear, and this is how they dress. And inspiration is bringing out these things now to clear. Brother Trevor had brought also these things before, some of these points. So, Sister White says, if people see people dressed in pants and they want ridicule and contempt, cannot make one hair white or black. We want reason and intellect to take the field, and the will to be subjected to the control of enlightened conscience. We design to be true to God and to the right. If there are sensible and strong reasons which can be produced against the reform dress, and Sister White is just talking about the modern time, we have yet to meet them. We are open to conviction. She said, bring the points until we see better arguments done. And this was the arguments that people try to, it looks so to see, or probably looks so bad, they would say, looks so to see women with pants. What will people say? I would die before I would wear them. And Sister White said, all these arguments are not reason, conscious arguments. And so, after the 144,000 are sealed, are we at the solemn assembly, and the Lord says, listen, we're going to change now to the original dress. Then we change. Because the standard's going to be updated again. Because only God knows what we're going to wear in the kingdom. But I suspect the 144,000 will have a distinguished dress to separate them from everyone. And all these people are coming from Bashan. They all were at the solemn assembly. So when the Lord updates the map of truth, then we will see what's going on. So we don't need to worry. The Lord is ordering and directing the work. And we stop here and close with the next one in prayer.
Our Father in heaven, we just want to thank you for blessing us and allowing us to be here today. We thank you for the words we have heard, and we just ask that you would help each one of us, that we would truly understand what you're telling us, and that we will be obedient to children of the King. We thank you for this message. We thank you for present truth. And so please continue to be with us and be with the next speaker. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. All right, take your break.